ain't really wanna be woofing when it's wartime. Niggas love the clout chase, that's the shit they glorify. I don't even try hard, this gangsta shit immortalized. No records of a trace when your crime is organized. No man is over me, I'm highest in the morning time. Low key in the birds when I cross the state borderlines. Spin your block and horrified. Fuck your bitch, you mortified. I'm standing where you draw the line, nigga, hold the line. My nutsack, I'm grabbing mine, both of mine, quit holding mine. You gon' get this work and some overtime, you know the vibes. Little nigga, you know it's me. I don't need them to notice me. When conflict get crucial, I can't help but do them bogusly. Smoke you like a stogie, beat you like you stole from me. Niggas out of body, put you back where you supposed to be. I shoot at you waking in the moment, niggas toast for you. My niggas do the most for me, that's what they supposed to do. All the smoke, nigga, cut the shit you think you bad enough and test. And you know how I'm coming, I ain't done for nothing. You know when I pull up on your block, it's bustin'. You know how I'm coming, and you came with me. You know what's going, stop playing with me. I want all the smoke, nigga, cut the shit you think you bad enough to test. And you know how I'm coming, I ain't done for nothing. You know when I pull up on your block, it's bustin'. You know how I'm coming, and you came with me, gang. You know what's going, stop playing with me. Real gangsters move critically when that shit get critical. No peace amongst enemies, no pity for the pitiful. Real nigga down to the bones and the minerals. Stick to the G code, I never told another soul. True to the literature, now salute the general. Kill you on your birthday, then slide on your funeral. It ain't about the clout chase, I'm a man of principle. Niggas out of body, now they body isn't critical. Cradle to the casket, the life we live is typical. God body, cause I will depart you from your physical. Niggas living fantasies, act like they was the only one. Don't talk to me about these streets, fuck you think you know me.
That got him. What's good? What's good? What's good? Shalom, shalom. What's up? What's up? I know y'all see the title. Chickens coming home to roost, right? Countdown to World War III, right? Yeah, we back on it. So yeah, been following the news and stuff. See what's going on with the Russia-Ukraine stuff, China, Taiwan, Japan and so forth, right? So then, you got the peace talks and all that stuff too as well, right? But, of course, it says when it's, peace and safety, sudden destruction come, right? So, what I'm saying? So we're keeping our eyes open, right? We're watching these prophecies, keeping our eyes open, doing exactly what it says in, I believe, what is it, Ezekiel, being a watchman, right? But yeah, of course, before we get into it, of course, giving all praises to the Most High, we do so in His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. To the Most High, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world knows as Jesus Christ, right? So let's get right into it, though. Let's let's get a little understanding of this thing, right? We got to understand, because our liberation, as a people, is predicated on this coming war that's going to take place. That's why we're keeping our eyes on the watch. That's why we're, counting down to World War III, right? Because it's synonymous with our salvation when you get into the prophecies, right? And so we're gonna get into it and see how certain things gonna play out, right? Get a little understanding of this thing and our place in it and all that, right? And how the Most High is moving, right? So yeah, let's start with Zechariah, right? let's go to Zechariah chapter 1, right? Zechariah chapter 1, verse 7, right? So now, let's read. It says, upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month of Sabath, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord to Zechariah, the son of Beshishiah, son of son of Iddu, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were there were red horses, speckled and white. Then I said, O my Lord, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be, right? So now he's seeing, Zechariah is seeing these spirits, right? And we can read about these 4 spirits, in a lot of different places. So now the Most High got these 4 spirits that he used to govern the earth, right? And he sends them out, and they do, whatever the Most High command them to do, and they influence mankind and nations and governments and all that stuff to do certain things, right? So then it says, then it says, and the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered me and said, these are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro through the earth, right? So so like I said, these spirits, they go to and fro through the earth. Their job is to influence mankind, nations, governments, right? Leaders and so forth, right? And whatever the Most High have them, do, right? And just like how you can read, like in Job, like where when Satan, came, and all the sons of God came to meet. Satan, where he been? He was like, I've been going to and fro. Because Satan also, his job is to go throughout the earth to influence people as well, right? So it says, and they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees, and said, we have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still, and is at rest, right? So they walk through the earth, everything is chilling, right? Then let's jump down to 18. So it was chilling all the way into the Renaissance era. We was chilling. Then the Renaissance happened, the rebirth. Then these people decided to just go around the whole world enslaving and murdering and unaliving everybody, right? But let's jump down to verse 18. Then lifted I my eyes and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angels that walked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the 4 horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Right? So now, these are the 4 horns. What is the 4 horns? The 4 horns is the nations that is primary responsible for the captivity and the enslavement of the Black, Hispanic, and Native American people. That's your English, your French, your Spanish, and your Portugal, right? The 4 horns. And then it says, and you can kind of mix America in there with the British, because they came up out of the British. And it says, and I said unto the angel that walked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the 4 horns which scattered Judah and Israel and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me the 4 carpenters, right? Now these 4 carpenters is what we call brick squad, right? But no, the real Pooh Shiesty, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South America. Then all their little countries that fall underneath them, right? The BRICS, right? And so that's who these four carpenters are. And it says where we at? Boom. And it says, then I said, then I said, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. So now these four horns that we mentioned before, those different nations that was primarily responsible for enslaving us on this side of the world, like I said, through their slavery and their oppression, like I said, they dominated us and they oppressed us, and they, eventually killed, a lot of our leaders that did try to rise up, and still got us into a predicament where, we still saying like, yeah, we're making progress, like, you gotta say we made progress, right? We're still in the mind of just making progress. We're not in the mind of how come things ain't equal or better how y'all preach it, right? So, like I said, so when it says so that no man lifted up his head, meaning, our pride was taken from us, because through slavery and all that stuff, and then the laws they make, down south, they got something called the laughing barrel. You know what I'm saying? You know how they, we got the terms that we say like a barrel of laughs, right? So that term come from during the Jim Crow era, where if you were black and you walking downtown in a metropolitan area and you decide to laugh for whatever reason, they had a barrel on the street that you stick your head in and you have to laugh in the barrel, right? That's where the barrel of laughs came from, right? So it says that so that no man did lift up his head, right? So, and that's what happened. Our people wasn't able to, how James Brown say, I'm black and I'm proud. You know what I'm saying? Like, our people wasn't actually able to live that, because whenever they try to be black and proud, and they, there was somebody there to what they say, to put them back in their place, right? So I used to work at this spot. I told the story before. I used to work at this spot. I had this Korean manager, and he was training me to be a manager. And this guy told me, he like, you can't be a proud black man. You gotta, if you basically saying, if I want to, be, successful in a job, I can't be a proud black man. I gotta be a, Uncle Tom, right? A Steven, right? A Steven from Django. And so then I'm just thinking, like, it's not like I'll be up there, talking to stuff that I be, you know what I'm saying, doing here, but, because that's work or whatever, but, and I'm thinking, like, it must just be my demeanor, my aura, the way I carry myself, because it's not like I'll be up there on my Malcolm X stuff up there. I'm like, why would he say that to me? But, like I said, they hate it, you know what I'm saying, and that's what happened with a lot of our people, that we're not able to, live a good quality of life, right? Since we've been on this side of the world. And it says, so that no man did lift up his head, but these come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horn over the land of Judah, to the land of Judah to scatter it. So again, so that's why I made that statement earlier, that this coming war is a synonymous with our salvation, right? And because we just read it right here, it says, then I said, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, talking about current day, what we will call NATO, the EU, right? Then it says, so that no man did lift up his head, but these are come to fray them, and these are the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, right? And it says, come to freedom to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it, right? And that's what happened, right? So, and that's what's going to happen. So that's, the Most High is judging this place using, what we know as the bricks and this coming war, this World War III thing, right? Let's get Daniel 2 real quick. Let's get Daniel 2 and 40. So Daniel 2 and 40 says, the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdue all things, the iron that break all things, it shall break in pieces and bruise, right? So now this is, talking about the Roman Empire, right? Because, the Roman Empire is the fourth beast. Now, America is the revised Roman Empire, right? Because when you read about in Revelation, the beast who wound was, the beast that was wounded and was healed. That was when Britain came into power. Then later, America grew out of Britain and so forth, right? So America is that revised empire in that 10-headed beast that we see in Revelation, right? And that we're going to kind of go through right now. Then it says, and whereas thou sawest the feet. So now, this chapter right here is Daniel giving a understanding to Nebuchadnezzar's dream and of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar had. And that statue, different body parts of that statue represented different empires that was going to come into existence after his. And then as you work your way down the statue, and as you get down to the feet, you go further and further into time, and then the feet will be the last ruling empire. So we're reading about the last ruling empire right here. So it says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, right? Now, this is talking, so again, America being that revised empire. So America would and NATO and the EU will represent these 10 toes down here, right? And when you look at the ancient map of the Roman Empire and compare it to the map of NATO, same thing. Only difference is instead of Rome being on the map, it's America, right? Because they are the revised empire. So it says, whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes part potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in the strength of the iron, for much as thou sawest in the iron mixed with myrrh and clay. So now this kingdom, this final kingdom, is going to be divided, right? They're not going to see eye to eye, on most occasions, because this government system that they have is what they call a democracy government, where they vote on everything, right? And because they vote on everything, they're not going to always see eye to eye, because you're going to have the majority vote, in most cases, right? And so it says, and whereas thou saw the feet and the toes part potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in the strength of the iron more. So hold on. So it says the kingdom shall be divided. So again, politically they're divided, because when you look at the landscape of things, you have within their own government, should I say? See, I almost got me saying within our. I almost got me say that word our. Yeah. So within their own government, you have people that's kind of like going against, they're not feeling what Trump is doing with Venezuela, right? They like, hey, we Congress, we supposed to declare war and stuff. You just can't go around bombing everything. I mean, it's cool and all, but we gotta give you the okay on it, right? So they got problems, right? You have their NATO allies that's supposed to be sanctioning Russia and helping cripple their economy. They actually funding their economy by still buying energy and other oil, oil and other energy stuff from them, right? So you have that going on within their, their clique, their federation, right? So it says, The kingdom shall be divided, but there should be strength in the iron. So there's strength in their iron because combined militarily, NATO is strong, right? That's why it says in the book of Revelation, who can make war with the beast? Because once America came up with that little atomic bomb stuff and blew up, those little poor people over there in Japan twice, right? Then, everybody, they like, hey, get down or lay down. So a lot of those European countries, they got down. And the ones that didn't get down, they like, hey, you know what? We're going to have to try to figure something out. So America became a superpower, right? And they developed that UN thing. It used to be called the League of Nations, right? And now from the UN, they came with the NATO and the EU, right? So, so military, they're strong, but they don't always agree politically, right? That's why it's always fights, and things take forever to get done, right? Then it says, and as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And that's exactly what we see. They're partly strong because, for the most part, people scared of their military, right? But they're partly broken because they can't agree on anything. They don't know what the hell they're doing, right? So, and it's just crazy, and so yeah, right? So let's go back. So let's go back to Zechariah, right? Let's go to chapter 2, and just go to 6. Chapter 2, verse 6. And it says, "Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north," said Yahweh, "for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens," said Yahweh, right? And that's what happened. We got spread it through slavery, through conquest, right? Especially starting with the Roman, when the Romans, when they took over in 70 AD and they expelled us out of there, right? Then we was chilling on the west coast of Africa. Then here come those people, and through slavery and conquest. Then you have the Arab slave trade as well, right? So we got scattered through the four winds of the earth. We are all in these all different nations throughout the different nations, right? With the bulk of us being on this side of the hemisphere, right? Majority of us being over here. Real quick, let's go to 6 and 7 real quick. Zechariah 6 and 7, and it says, "And the babe went forth and sought to go, they that might walk and go walk to and fro to the earth. And he said, Get ye hence, walk and go to and fro through the earth. And they walked to and fro through the earth," right? So, like I said, so these spirits that the Most High created, like I said, their job is to go influence different nations, governments, right, and regions, right, and to fulfill the Most High will, right, and so then, so back over here it says, "For I have spread you abroad as four winds of the heavens," said Yahweh. "Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon," right? And that's where we at, the daughter of Babylon. That's what this place is called, right? Daughter of Babylon, or mystery Babylon. "For thus said the Lord of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations, which spoil you, for he have touched the apple of his eye," right? And that's the thing, right? So again, going back to these spirits, these four spirits that the Most High created to go throughout the earth and cause havoc or whatever the Most High wants them to do, right? Hold on, sunlock here real quick. So so it said, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoil you. So these these spirits that he had created to fulfill his will, he's sending them towards these nations that, had a hand in our downfall and destroying us as a people. Right? Because it says, for he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. Right? And you know that the apple of your eye, that's something that you hold dear to you, right? Something that's very important to you. Something that you prize and love and will give your life for. And that's us to the Most High, right? His people, right? We are his apple, the apple of his eye, right? And then on the flip side, your pupil, right? So of course it's very annoying for somebody to put their finger in your face, right? So let alone poke you in the eye, right? So he says, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoil you, for he that touches you touched the apple of his eye, right? So the Most High don't like when these nations, mistreat us, right? And people misunderstand because the Most High is long suffering and all that stuff, that he think that it's no, people think it's no get back, right? We serve a God of justice, right? Of course he's gonna pay these people back. He wouldn't be who he say he was, and then so that's crazy, right? To even think that it will, get away with it. And it says, for behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be spoiled, and they shall be spoiled to their servants, and they shall know that the Lord of hosts has sent me. Right? So, like I said, these people, and we can see stuff shaking up as well, right? Different, they classify it as civil war, right? And I believe this civil war is not going to be as pronounced as the first one, right? You got the blue versus the red. Like my uniform is blue, yours is gray. The north versus the south, right? That was very clear, right? But this civil war, it's going to be a lot of infighting on different issues on why people is upset, right? You're going to have your typical race war, right? Then you're going to have your people that just want to destroy the government. Then you're going to have the people that want to save the government. You're going to have the people, it's going to be a mix of a lot of stuff, right? And they all going to clash, right? It's going to be like a Royal Rumble, right? So, and we see what it says. It says, for behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be spoiled to their servants. So, and what I mean by that is, when I was saying earlier is, like say you have like the what they call the rich, right? You have people, you have the class of the rich, then you have the class of the poor, right? And you have the working class, right? So then, like, people forgot, like, earlier in the early 2000s, you had the 1%, the 99 versus the 1%, right? So a lot of this stuff is going to come to a head. And where it says that in the servants, it says, and they shall be spoiled to their servants, meaning the second class citizens, the lower class people, the people that have been getting robbed and all that stuff. It's going to be a point in time where they're going to be able to, they're going to rise up, right? And like I said, it's going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be different, because this civil war, like I said, it's not going to be as, all right, well, what side you on? Okay, you on that side? You on? No, it's different factions, different stuff. everybody pissed off about whatever they pissed off about, right? And it's crazy. But so it says for behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be spoiled to their servants, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, that the Yahweh of hosts has sent me, right? So, and that's why we prophesying this. We telling people what's going on, because when this stuff happens, when they see the people going crazy, when they see they're no longer listening to the government no more, no matter who on TV, whoever president at that time, whatever mayor, governor, official on TV talking about, hey, everybody settle down, go back to your homes. It's not going to be none of that. They're not going to be listening to that in that day, right? You know, and y'all think, y'all saw that video, how they did Gaddafi, right? How the people did Gaddafi. It's crazy. You can read about it in Second Ezra, right? For time's sake, we're not going to get it, but we know. Then says, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, said Yahweh, right? And so that's the thing. We got a God that fight for us, and He is our God and none else, right? That's what we got to understand. And He said, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, said the Lord, right? So let's get this really, really quick, right? Because we got to understand that. We got to nail that home. We got to beat that into our head, right? This is Amos chapter 3, verse 2. It says, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. So this is God speaking to the prophet Amos, right? And he's saying, you only have I known, right? Of all the families of the earth. So the Israelites is the only people that the Most High is dealing with, right? And he says, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities, right? So, because just like a good parent chastises their children, right? So, you got your child at the park. You tell your child, don't do this, don't do that. You find out your child is doing this and doing that. You're going to chastise your child. You're not going to go and discipline somebody else's kid and all that stuff. No, you're going to, take care of your child. And that's what the Most High does. Because He says over here, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, said the Lord. And many nations shall be joined in that day, right? And then it says, many nations shall be joined in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and shall know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto thee, right? So yeah. We just read that He is the Lord our God and none else. And many nations will dwell with us, because it will be peace on earth, right? The earth will be set in this rightful way, right? And just get a little understanding how they're going to be dwelling with us, right? Because let's go here real quick. Let's see what's the dwelling with us like. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14 and 2 says this. We'll just start at 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. Right? So that's the gist of the whole thing. Right? At the end of this whole shebang, He's going to choose Israel, show mercy to us, right? Protect us when all hell is breaking loose, and put us back in our own land like He promised, right? Then it says, and a stranger shall be joined with them. So yeah, like we just read over here, what it say? Boom, boom, boom. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee. Right? So, and a stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right? They're going to cleave to us, right? Just like how we're cleaving to America, right? How we, you know, hope and pray that America lasts another 1,000 years, right? We hope, you know, Donald Trump really make this place great, right? We hope something, right? We trust in oppression, right? That's what we've been doing. We've been trusting in oppression, trusting in a nation that can't save us, right? But here it says, and the strangers will be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people should take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and for handmaids, right? So just like how we was chilling wherever we was chilling at, and then they took us and possessed us and took us to their place called America, you know, England, Brazil, you know, the Caribbeans and stuff like that, right? So it says, Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and for handmaids, and shall take them captive, who captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors, right? So that's what's going to happen, right? They're going to be joined with us in servitude, and we're going to rule over them, the same people that ruled over us. That's called trading places. I mean, I don't know if some of us watched that Eddie Murphy movie, you know, with Dan Aykroyd. Just trading places right there, right? Let's just further prove that, right? Let's just further prove it, because everybody, we need to understand this. Let's get Revelation 13. It says, Revelation 13 and 9. If a man have an ear, if any man have an ear, let him hear, right? So if you got an ear, you know, you should hear this, right? You know, meaning, you know, of course we all got ears, even deaf people got ears. So he's telling you, you need to understand this, right? And he says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword, right? That's called justice, in case you don't know. So it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, right? That's what happens. Because it says over here, and they shall take them captive, who captives they were. And what did our dear brother John say over here? He said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, right? That's called trading places, you know? That's called justice. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, because we're patiently waiting for a track to explode on, right? Like 50 Cent. So it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captive, who captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors, right? That's what's going to happen, right? But I mean, you know, we got peace on earth, right? Let's get one more, right? That's the peace. Isaiah chapter 2, right? And it says, let's start at verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord, it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. So the nation of Israel is going to be that top nation when it's all said and done, right? We're going to be that superpower. We're going to be the top hegemony. We're going to be the head and not the tail, just like he promised, right? Then it says, and shall be exalted above the hills. So the hills is like the smaller nations, right? Then it says, and all the nations should flow to it, right? Because they're all going to flow to it, right? Because just like we read over here in our dear brother Zechariah was telling us. What was he telling us? Let's see what Zechariah was telling us real quick. Like our dear brother Zachariah was telling us that, and many nations should be joined in the Lord that day, and shall be my people. Right? That's great. And it says, and many. Hold on. It says, and all the nations should flow unto it, and many people should go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. Right? So again, they understand that this is the God of Jacob, right? The Israelites, right? And they like, hey, let's go and go worship that guy, because it seems like it's something over there to that, right? So it's like and he will teach us his ways, right? And that's what we're gonna do, because we're gonna teach them, because we will be the light to the Gentiles, like it says in Isaiah chapter 60, right? And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, right? So in that day, these nations are going to understand that the truth is coming from the Israelites, and to understand the truth, they're going to have to learn it from us, right? To understand what's really going on, to get any ounce of blessing, they're going to have to understand, and follow suit, right? That's what's going to happen. And it says, and he shall judge among the nations, right? And shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, right? Because when we begin to judge among the nations, right? When the Most High sent his Son, and the millions of the angels with him, right? And they raise war on this godforsaken place and do what they need to do, right? They're going to judge these nations. And then after they get their butt kicked, these nations is going to do what? And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into prune hooks, right? Because they're going to realize this is a supernatural power that we can't fight against. Our nukes don't work. Our technology, all this crazy stuff we done came up with, it doesn't work. We tried everything, right? So I guess we got to get down to lay down, right? So they're going to understand there's no use in fighting the Most High God's army, right? They're going to understand that Hollywood lied to them. They're going to understand, like, all those little Independent Day movies or those little alien movies that they make where they win at the end. They're going to understand, like, I don't know what we tripping for. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we tripping for? Let's put this gun down. Matter of fact, what is this thing? This is a shovel. Matter of fact, this not a gun. This is a shovel. Right? They ain't gonna want no smoke. Right? So, it will be peace on earth. After they are beaten into submission, it will be peace on earth. Right? Thus said the Lord. So back over here. Bow bang. Let's get Isaiah. Let's get Isaiah 60 real quick. Isaiah 60 and 12, right? Because like I said, I just said, should I say, that it will be peace on earth because they will be beaten into submission, right? Isaiah 60 and 12 says this: for the nation and kingdom that would not serve thee. So if they don't want to get down or get down with the program, for the nation and kingdom that would not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations should be utterly wasted. So that's what we're talking about here. So yes, it will be peace on earth because the Most High God says, this is what we're going to do. Oh, you don't want to do it? Zap, boop, bop, zap, you're gone. Oh, no more nations. Oh, yeah, yeah, right? So then these other nations going to see these other nations getting destroyed by the Most High. They be like, maybe it's cool that we should do what the Israelites tell us to do. Because it says, for that nation and kingdom that would not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations should be utterly wasted. Because verse 10 tells us, the sons of the strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister to thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I have mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that the men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. Meaning all their riches, all their everything, right? They're going to be paying their taxes and tribute to the nation of Israel, right? Forever. And their kings shall be brought, right? And that's what's going to happen, right? You got to understand that. So back over here. Oh, well, that's good. Wow. Let's get Micah really quick. Micah 4:1. Says, but the last days it shall come to pass that the mountains of the house of the Lord shall be established. In the top of the mountains it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow to it. Right? So again, we're seeing that again. And it says, and many nations shall come and say, come, let us go to the mountains of the Lord, and the house of God, the house of God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Right? Because, like I said, they ain't going to want no smoke that day, right? You know, the decree is going to come out, get down or lay down. And they're going to be like, all right, get down. But they're not going to want the smoke that day, right? Revelation 2:6 real quick. Revelation 2:26 says this. And he that overcometh and keep my works. Let's start at 25. But which ye have already hold fast until I come. Right? So, you know, we got to keep the faith, right? And it says, and he that overcometh and keep my works unto the end, to him I will give power over the nations. Right? And that's what he's promising to his people. Power over these nations, right? You know, because like we just read in Isaiah chapter 14, that we're going to rule over our oppressors, right? And like we read in Revelation 13, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, right? We're talking about justice here. Reading on it, then and it says, and the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Right? And it says, be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he has risen up out of his holy habitation. Right? And that's what's happening, right? Get this really quick, see what this is. Really quick. So this is Ezekiel 14 and 16, and it says, through these three men were in it, as I live, excuse me, as I live, said the Lord God. They shall deliver neither sons nor daughters, they only shall be delivered, but the land shall be desolate. Right? Because is that what I want? Okay, no, okay. No, I don't think I wanted that one, but yeah. No, okay, never mind. We don't want that one. Let's go to boom. Let's go back to Zechariah real quick. Go back to Zechariah. Let's jump to chapter 6 real quick. Zechariah chapter 6. And let's start. Let's start at verse 2. And the first chariot were red, and the second chariot was a black horse. Let me read right. It says, and the first chariot were a red horse, and the second chariot was a black horse, and the third chariot was a white horse, and the fourth chariot gristled and bay horse. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the four spirits of heaven which go forth, standing before the Lord of all the earth. Right. So again, these are these four spirits that we was talking about earlier that the Most High used to influence the earth and go forth and do things, right, and to make nations do whatever they do, right. And it says, the black horse which are therein go forth into the north country. So we are in this north country, and this black horse represent slavery, right? Conquest and slavery. So it says the black horse were therein go forth to the north country, and the white horse go forth after them. So black horse represents slavery when we, go further into the prophecy, represent slavery, and the white horse is conquest. So, of course, they conquered, the Native Americans over here, stole the land, stole us, brought us over here, enslaved our Caribbean brothers, Hispanic brothers, Native Americans, all that stuff over here, right? So black horse, white horse, right? Then it says, and the gristle go forth towards the south country. And that's, represent death, right? And the bay go forth, that they might walk to and fro in the earth. And he said, get hence and walk to and fro to the earth. They walk to and fro through the earth. So, the Most High commanded these spirits to do what they do, and they went off and they did the things they have done, right? And those two, those horses being, like I said, it's talking about, slavery and then the conquest of this Western Hemisphere, right? So let's get a little bit. Let's go to Ezekiel 38 real quick. So let's see what these four carpenters is doing, right? The spirit that rested on, these nations, right? Let's go to Ezekiel 38, right? So, and it says, and the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesied against him, right? So now, this is talking about the leader of Russia, right? Right now, we know it's the real Pooh Shiesty, but who knows who it might be in the future. But it's talking about the leader of Russia, right? And it says, and it says, say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy armies, horses and horsemen, and all them clothed with sorts of armor, and even great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So he's saying, look, I'm gonna put you back into that Soviet mind state, that military minded USSR state of mind, right? And that's what they've been at, right? They got Crimea, you know what I'm saying? They took over the Baltic, stuff over there. Um, they, doing their thing with Ukraine, right? So they slowly trying to, build up their little USSR thing back again, right? And the Bible says they're gonna do it, right? Or damn near get close to it. Then it says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. So again, these are the members of the BRICS, right? Persia being an ancient name for Iran. Ethiopia, we know what that is. Libya, they rolling with them. Then it says, with them, and all of them with shields and helmets. Because remember too, when this war first started off, Ethiopia, and they was begging Russia, can they send their troops over there to help them, right? Then it says Gomer, that's Turkey. Turkey over there is part of the EU, but Turkey is going to join with the BRICS, right? And they messing with Russia, right? Then it says, in all his bands, the House of Telegraph, the North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. So a lot of their, like I said, they're gonna build up their old USSR thing, right? And you're gonna get it slowly but surely. Then it says, be prepared and prepare for thyself and all thy company as assembled unto thee, and be a guard unto them, right? So that's why Russia telling Venezuela, hey, we got your back. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna send some missiles over there, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of these other countries, they rolling with each other, right? Because they BRICS wide, right? Real Pooh Shiesty, Gucci Mane, all them niggas, they rolling, right? Yeah, that's good. Let's get Revelation 12 real quick. So I mean, like we see it like in the news, like those different countries and stuff how they're clicking up together, and and they formulating together. They putting a military together, their finances together. A lot of those countries is dropping a dollar. You know what I'm saying? So they getting their Memphis Bleak on. They're getting their mind right, money right, getting ready for war. Putin was talking about he's ready. If NATO try to get on some stuff with him, right? He like, man, we can, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Everything cool, but y'all try to get on that with me. I'm on that still, right? Let's get Revelation 12. And so yeah, Revelation 12. Because like I said, the Most High, because these people been trying to, get us for the longest, right? It's the whole MO, right? It's the story of the book, right? They are the main, antagonists, what I'm saying, to the Israelites, right? Chapter 12, Revelation says this. And there appeared a great woman in heaven, and a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head, and a crown of 12 stars, right? So this woman is talking about Israel, right? And it's the 12 stars is of course the 12 tribes of Israel, right? And so it's not like, how they make it all spooky ooky, right? Nah, it's just that. Then it says, and she being with child, cried and travailed, being in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So now this is the Roman Empire. So now Israel is giving birth to the Messiah, the Mashiach Yahushua, right? Of course Mary is and Joseph is the vessel for that, right? Then it says So now this is the Roman Empire because they're in control during that time. So of course we know the story. King Herod found out that Jesus was being born and he wanted to kill everything, right? So they had to move to Egypt because he was unaliving all the little infants, right? So then it says, and his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them down to the earth, right? So now, this is where a lot of people make this all spooky ooky, right? And mystifying. Like, God and Satan was up there fighting and, they hitting each other and throwing furniture around and breaking tables and, the angel's like, oh, shoot, watch out, God, he's coming, duck. Then, he's like, oh, shoot, he's ducking, bobbing and weaving, right? Then he finally get the best of him and throw Satan out. Then as he's throwing them out, his tail grabs the stars and now we see the moon and the stars and stuff like that today. No, that's crazy, right? That's called mythology. That's not what's going on here, right? And his tail drew the third part of heaven, and that's talking about the Israelites. Because again, we already established that the 12 stars is the tribes of Israel. So during the time of the Romans, the other stars, the other 9 stars were already cast out because through the Assyrian captivity, they got taken away already. They was already scattered, right? Living a life. So it was just 3 tribes left in Jerusalem during that time. So then when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, that's when these 3 stars got cast down, right? Because we end up getting expelled out of Jerusalem 70 AD and so forth, right? So his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be devoured, to deliver her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child to rule over all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne, right? So again, 3 tribes left in Israel. So the Most High, Yahushua is born, right? They put out the decree to try to kill all the infants, right? Of course he gets crucified. So then he gets crucified, and it says, she brought forth the man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God, unto his throne, because he was crucified, right? So, and it's prophesied that he's going to come to rule all nations, right? And the disciples understood that he was going to come and rule all nations, right? Let's get this really, really quick, right? Let's get Acts real quick. The book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 9. And it says, and when he spoke these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and the cloud received him, out of their sight. And they looked steadfast towards heaven as he went up, and behold, 2 men stood by him in white apparel. So hold on, but let me get verse 6, right? So it says, and when they therefore came together, they asked him, saying, Lord. So this is after his resurrection, and his, he came back, he appeared to them for like 40 days, right? We know the story. When they therefore were come together, they asked him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? Right? Because their understanding was, okay, when he come back, it's on and popping. We're going to go to war with the Romans, and we're going to take all of this back, right? So, back over here, when it says that he was to rule over, all earth, but he had to, go back up to his father's throne. So that's why we see over here, when it says, when it says, but ye, when it says, and he said unto them, it is not for you to know the time or the season which the Father has put in his own power, but ye shall receive the power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witness unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the outermost parts of the earth. And when he had spoke these things, while behold, he was taken up, and the cloud received him out of their sight. So he was taken up to the Most High God, because he had to go up there first, right? So he was explaining to him, like, yeah, because the people was under the understanding that he was going to come back to, wage war then. But it's not then, it's now, right? So, back over here. So it says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had place prepared of God, and they should feed her 1,260 days. So again, Vespasian, whatever how you say his name, the general of Rome and all that stuff, they destroyed it. So we fled up out of there. We went into Africa. We, lived over there for, a good, 1,000 years, right? And before people came over and started messing with us, right? Then so now fast forwarding. So now these people, they got their Space Force, right? They got their little nuclear stuff and all the stuff that they created, right? They got so many nukes that they can destroy this earth a million times over, right? That's what they got. They're not going to get a chance to use them all if you think about it. I mean, well, they probably is, but you know what I mean. Because, and part of the reason they got them is for this reason right here that we about to read. And it says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought against, and the dragon and his angels fought. So now, this is not talking about some, war up in heaven where, God is, holding his cheek with an ice pack because him and Satan just got into it, and he's telling his angels, hey, go get them niggas over there, right? And they fighting up in heaven, right? That's not what's happening there. Because remember, a black man by the name of Jesus Christ, real name in the Hebrew, Yahweh is coming back to crack the sky, right? And he's coming to crack the sky with the millions and millions of angels, 200,000 angels to be exact, right? So, and he's coming here, right? And the devil is those people. We know who the devil is, right? Don't make me say it. The Caucasians, right? It's the devil, right? And so it says this. Alright, where that boom? It says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. So this coming war, right? Because we can read about it, I believe, in the book of Ezra. They're going to be fighting each other, right? And it's World War III. They're going to be fighting, doing what they do. They fight, right? So then here come Christ come back, right? Christ coming back with his angels, right? So then they're going to be like, hey, yo, what's going on up in the sky? It's this guy coming back with all this, for the lack of better terms, aerial vehicles and stuff like that. They're going to be very curious, right? And knowing these people, we watch the movies. When they hear a loud noise, they don't run like normal people do. They want to go check it out. So they're going to see this black man. They're going to see this supernatural being, right? And with the millions and millions of his angels with him. And they're going to want to fight him, right? Because that's what they do. They're going to say, hey, let's kill it and dissect it and see what's going on with that. Let's try to get that technology. Well, you know how they think, right? That's going to be their thought process. But what does it say? And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels, meaning the general of the heavenly army, Michael, under Christ, they gonna be down here getting busy with these little earthlings, right? Then it says, and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And don't get twisted with the word angels, because the word angel just mean messenger, follower. You know, in this case, these people is their soldiers, their army, their military will be the angel of these devils, right? Then it says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven, right? Because they got obliterated. We read about that in 2nd Ezra also, right? Let's get Wisdom of Solomon real quick though. Wait. Hold on. Before Wisdom of Solomon, let's get Joel real quick. Before the Wisdom of Solomon, let's get Joel. Two and 19. So it says, it started at 18. Then will the Lord be jealous for his land and pity his people. So the Most High is going to be jealous for his land and for his people. Right now you got them people over there, messing everything up, doing what they doing over there, right? But in that day he's going to be jealous for his land and jealous for his people. So he's going to love his people and protect us in that day. Then it says, yeah, the Lord will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith, and I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, right? And that's what's going to happen. Will no longer be a reproach among the heathen, right? And it says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, right? Because these people, again, we can read about it in 2nd Ezra. These people really think they're going to be able to fight. Really be able to think they can box with God, right? They're going to really think the technology they've been working on, the little secret stuff that they got, down in the little bases and stuff that we ain't going to find out until about 50 years later if it's up to them, right? They think that stuff going to work, right? They think the little antimatter bomb and stuff that they're trying to come up with is going to work, right? But it says, I will remove far off from you the northern army, and I will drive them into the land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and hinder parts towards the uttermost sea, and his stink shall come up, his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. So God say, look, I'm gonna do these people dirty, right? They gonna die in the worst way, right? Think of to me, when I think of a bad way to die, especially if you somebody you up here, you got status and all that stuff, right? Think about Pablo Escobar, right? When you see that documentary, his last few moments of life, he running his overweight. He's not in the best shape, right? But he's running across these buildings on the roof, right? And they shoot him, right? They shot him, right? And then they take pictures of him. The man pants is halfway hanging down off his, self. He just looked it bad, right? Looked like he caught him on a bad day, right? So that's how these people are gonna be looking. They're gonna be like some Pablo Escobar stuff, right? It's gonna be bogus. They're not gonna die like men that day, to say the least. And let's get really quick. What's this all about? So let's get Luke Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Do we want that right now? Hold on. Hold on. Make sure I'm not jumping the gun real quick. Hold on. Oh yeah, we great. Alright, yeah. So let's get Luke 18. Let's start at 1, right? Cause we gotta understand, right? The Most High. No, matter of fact, before, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to get. Before we get, let me get it though. But let's go to Wisdom of Solomon first. Then we're gonna go to Luke 18. So Wisdom of Solomon, right? Chapter 2, really quick. Where's it at? Wisdom of Solomon, boom, boom, boom. Chapter 2. And hold up. Yeah, so yeah, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 real quick, right? So it says, For the ungodly said reasoning with themselves, but not our right, our life is short and tedious. In death of a man there is no remedy. Right? So these people, right, chiefly Edom, right? These Edomites, these people, right? And we can see how they live, right? That's why they be doing all these little daredevil type stuff and living extreme and doing all this little crazy stuff. Because it says, for the ungodly said reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious. Because they believe, hey, life is short, you know what I'm saying? What they came up with that, live fast, die young. You know, that's the slogan they came up with, right? But just that our young people was living it out, right? But they came up with the slogan, yeah, live fast, die young, right? Because to them, they believe, hey, we just came from germs, like all this stuff just spawned from fungus and germs and, like, hey, there's no God, there's no afterlife, there's no nothing to this thing, right? Do as thou wilt, right? They say, in the death of a man is no remedy, neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, right? So, like I said, because most people, I was talking to an atheist, and I asked, like, okay, what is your thought on, like, life after death or whatever, right? So basically, they just believe you just die, and that's it, and that's just all they wrote, So we just basically, it's like, it's almost like they think we like just a blip in a universe, right? So to them, it's like there's no point of life. You here, you live, you die, and that's it, right? And they live that way. That's why they live as vicious as they do. That's why they try to get their heaven on this side of everything. That's why they try to rob, steal, and kill for the greatest and the finest things of life, right? Because to them, you only get one life, and life is short, it's fast. Hey, it's hard, so might as well do what you need to do and conquer and enjoy it while you can, right? And feel sorry later. So it says, for we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter, and we shall hereafter as though we are never been. For It says, "For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke in a little spark in the moving of our heart." Right? So, of course, the Bible teaches regeneration, or how some may say reincarnation. But again, we're dealing with some ungodly people who believe that their job is to rob, steal, and kill, because, hey, it's nothing after this. We're just fungus growing on this green planet, right? So it says, which being extinguished, our bodies shall be turned into ashes, and our spirits shall vanish as the soft air, right? So that's what they believe. That's why they go around, living as wicked as they do, because they say, well, shoot, hey, who's going to judge me? Who's going to stop me, right? Because they don't believe in God. That's prevalent, right? So now let's get this, right? And we got to understand that we have a God of justice, right? And, and although it seemed like he's long suffering, and it seemed like these people been getting away with stuff forever, but we have a God of justice. We have a God that fight for us, right? We got to keep that in mind, right? All he wants us to do is keep our end of the bargain, which is to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That's all we got to do, right? But here we go, right? It says this. It says, Luke, we'll start at 18, verse 2. Saying, there was in the city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded men. Right? So it's this judge in the city that's not a righteous man at all, right? But he's a judge. He's over people and he's judging manners, but he's not a righteous judge, right? And then it says, and there was a widow in the city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary, right? So she comes to this guy. It's like, hey, look, I'm going through it. I'm a widow. Somebody's taking advantage of me. Avenge me of my adversary, right? And so this Revelation 12 and 10 real quick. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is salvation and strength of the kingdom of our God and the power of Christ, and the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night, right? So these people that we're under in these Americas is our accusers, right? And they accuse us day and night through their oppression, through their lawmaking that they, push forth, their redlining. We know the history, right? We've been here for 500 years. We know what they do, right? So back over here, it says, and there was a widow in the city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterwards he said within himself, though I hear not God nor regard man, yet because this widow trouble me, I will avenge her, lest by her continuing worrying me, right? So now the point of this. So now you have this wicked judge, right? That's probably just collecting money for judgment and just doing wicked things, right? So now it's this lady that's expecting judgment, righteous judgment, because she's been getting wrong and taken advantage of because she's a widow. And so she's coming to this wicked judge for justice. So she's bugging him every day. She's nagging him. Every time he have a court hearing, she's up there trying to put her, bring her case forward. So he like, okay, I know I'm not a good guy. I know typically this is not what I do, but I have to do something. If I don't, she gonna keep coming and keep messing with me every day. So I have to do something, right? So that's his thought process. Like, all right, fine. I'm gonna help this lady out to get her out of here, right? If I can, because she's messing up the money, right? She messing up the money. She coming here with real cases, wanting real resolutions. I'm not here for that. I'm here to collect money. You know what I'm saying? I'm in here, get money. You know what I'm saying? What you say? Get money. What you say? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm here for, right? But she want real justice, right? And the Lord said to her, and the Lord said, hear what the unjust said. The unjust judge said, and shall not God avenge his own elect? So saying, look, if even an unrighteous judge, can do the right thing, because he see, okay, yeah, this widow's being taken advantage of. Okay, yeah, that is messed up. I hear her complaining. All right, fine, I'm gonna do something. Dang. So if this unrighteous judge can get up off his butt and do something, Christ is saying what? And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them, right? So although God is long suffering and all that stuff, but he hears the stuff that we go through. He's seen the things that we went through on this side of the hemisphere, right? He's seen what's going on, right? He's seen the history of slavery. He's seen the bodies getting strung up, right? And trust me, he's not forgetting none of that, right? This place has 7 deadly plagues coming to this place, right? He destroyed Egypt with 10. He's going to take this place out with 7, right? He didn't forget about that, right? He just trying to, just like, we got to look at it like the FBI, right? Like the feds, they don't arrest you on your first offense. If the feds is watching you, they're not going to arrest you the first time you do something. They're going to watch you for a few years. They're going to make sure they build a solid case, so when they do finally hit you with the hammer, it ain't nothing they can do but put you in jail for 11 years, right? Because what they got, a 98% conviction rate, they got that for a reason, right? Because they just not going to arrest you on your first case. Because you might can wiggle out of that, right? So that's how the Most High God, just think about the Most High God like the FBI. You know what I'm saying? Just building that case. Then when he come down with the verdict, it's on, right? And that's all she wrote. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear along with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, he shall find. Should he find faith? Shall he find faith? And that's the thing. We gotta have faith, because again, we have people that believe that he's not going to judge these people for what they have done. You think that America is going to last forever, and everything is great, and it's cool what they did, and they're not going to have to pay for what they did, right? That's crazy, right? These people just got done celebrating Thanksgiving, where damn near 80 million Native Americans was, unalive, right? You think God didn't see that? I mean, God hate the murder of the innocent, right? God destroyed nations for less, right? So you gotta understand what's going on, right? But everybody gotta play his part. Prophecy has to play out, right? Because it's judgment that have to take place. So back over here. Back to Revelation. Revelation. So Revelation 12 and 9. And a great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, Satan, which deceived the world, which deceived the whole world, and was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right? So again, like I said, so they're going to be, these people are going to be taken out of power, right? And they're not going to rule no more. They're going to be destroyed in this coming war, right? And let's start back up here though at 7. It says, let's start at 7. It says, and there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, right? And the dragon fought against his angels. So again, this is talking about when these people see Christ and his angels, and they're going to come and try to fight against us. We can read about that in Ezekiel 38 and also 2nd Esdras, right? They're going to try to fight against the children of Israel, and they're going to get destroyed by the children of Israel, right? Then, hold on one second. So, and it says, and it said, boom, 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 and prevailed not, neither was their place found no more in heaven. Meaning they were taken down. No more EUs, no more NATO, none of that stuff, right? Destroyed. Then it says, and a dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceived the whole world. Because because again, the word devil is not talking about the devil, the spiritual demon, who people know as the devil. It's talking about the word devil is a Latin word which means deceiver. Goes back to the word diablo, which means a fancy way of calling somebody a liar. So these people are devils because they have lied through their philosophies, through their religion, through their their education system, everything, right? And they push that and propagate that throughout the world and have the world following their way of life, right? So there are devils, and Satan just means enemy or adversary, and they are the biggest Satan of all because they are an enemy to God and an enemy to us, right? And history proves it, right? And we can close the book and just look at history and see what they have done throughout history, and we can see that they are an enemy to God and an enemy to us, right? That's just history, right? And it says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, meaning their armies and stuff was destroyed as well. And their little top military advisors, their wise men, their their elites, all of them destroyed, all of them. Like we can read in the book of Obadiah, right? So let's get 2nd Thessalonians real quick. We almost done over here. 2nd Thessalonians in chapter 1, verse 6. Hold on. Matter of fact, yeah, we can read it. Seeing it's a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Right? So it is a righteous thing for God. Meaning God, this is a very great thing that God is going to pay these people back for what they have done to his people. Right? So to think that God is not with the smoke, when it comes to destroying these nations and putting his people back on top, then you're crazy. You never read this book then. Because he said this, seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And who has troubled us more than the Edomites? The main protagonists, the main antagonists of the Israelites, should I say, right? And it says, and to you who are troubled, rest with us when Yahweh, when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, right? And like I said, because he's going to bring us that rest, because he's coming to wage war with these nations and to free his people, right? Because seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So God said, it is my pleasure to destroy these people for all the hell and tribulation they don't put my people through, right? So don't get that twisted. We gotta understand that, right? So all right, let's jump up to Revelation 18, because like I said, it's his pleasure to destroy this place, right? And he's going to do it in this, using thermonuclear fire, those ICBMs that these enemies of America currently possess, right? Revelation 18:8. Therefore, therefore her plague shall come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, right? Utterly burnt with fire because of those ICBMs, right? When Russia and Korea and Iran and all them members of the BRICS decide to push that red button, and not just the members of the BRICS, America's own NATO members is also going to turn on them, as the book of Revelation also tells us, right? Because it says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord who judges her. Right? Because this is the Most High is doing. This is his decree. This is what he done put forth. That's his judgment for this place, right? That final plague. That nuclear, fire to destroy this place, right? Because like we just read over here, seeing that is a righteous thing to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you, right? So let's get this. Let's jump down to verse 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, "Thus with violence." Why is he throwing it? This thing down, this millstone, like when it says "thus with violence," because seeing it as a righteous thing with the Lord to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So over here it says, "Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all." That's the end game for this place called America. To be found no more at all. Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Right? That's the plan. Right? That's what's going on here. And we got to understand that. So, that's the God we serve. Because Most High got a judgment for this place. These people cannot do what they've been doing and don't think nothing going to happen. And we can just take it off of, the whole Bible's spiritual thing, whatever how you want to label it. I mean, the civilizational clock on this place is ticking anyway. Civilizations don't last that long anyway. They only last for about, on an average, to 250 to 275 years, right? And America is like 50 years over the time limit of a civilization lasting before they collapse and implode on themselves, right? So you can look at all the great civilizations that came before and how they collapsed. And each time they collapse faster and faster and faster and faster. And guess what? Just so happened, the Bible gives us how long it's going to take for this place to collapse. It says, in one day, in 1 hour, should that place be destroyed. Right? The last, because, like I said, I forgot I had that thing. What was it? Because, like I said, the last empire that failed, it took a month and a half. I think it was France in the 40s. They fell to Germany. It took 6 weeks for them to fall to Germany. And like I said, the fall can come in different forms, but we know according to the Bible, this fall is going to be economically and war based, right? But through history, you can look at the different civilizations and empires that fell. They all fell for different reasons, but sometimes it's a combination of different reasons, right? And since we got the playbook called the Bible, we know what this is going to be on more of an economic military fall for this one, just like how their big brother Rome went down the same way, military and economic implosion, because they were stretching themselves too thin, trying to fight everybody and try to maintain all this land that they done conquered and took, right? It's expensive. So hopefully that was edifying. You got a little understanding of what's going on with this thing, with this coming war. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that was edifying. I'm gonna say shalom, peace. You know what I'm saying? Till next time, we out.